Hello, everybody. Welcome to Lebanon Church for Keegan Bible Study. This is Pastor Benjamin at the helm tonight. We're in the book of Deuteronomy. Actually, about to end the book of Deuteronomy. I'm feeling pretty good because we're about to retire another book. The message tonight: there arose not a prophet since in Israel like unto Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face. Amen. Let's get into the book. Amen. For us tonight as we close the book. Before we hit the record button, I was telling people perhaps how these stories was written and done. When the Bible first was written, it was a oral interpretation that was passed down from generation to generation. So as for as God began to impress on people to write, then these stories that was passed down from generation to generation had to be put in a literal form. And we believe these stories kind of was reformed or reworked to try to show you the workings of God, and that things had to be narrowed down, as otherwise the book would have been so big and bold. We usually say that when this book was written for the United States or translated, we try to put it, the European peoples, that they didn't put everything in the book. Well, what was it? European peoples got a copy of what the Jewish peoples left, and they translated that. But it was actually the Church of the Jewish faith that allowed this book to be refined to a point that they didn't think that they need the other books, like the proprietary, or however you said, these other books. They figured they had this story written down, defined enough that they can pass it down to their generation. And remember, Israel didn't think that no other nation was going to get these books. So it was used to pass down to their children. And they figured the books were defined enough to do it. So the proprietary wasn't needed because everybody in Israel understood the backstory of Abraham because they was passed down too. But this book was designed to try to keep the history and the law and everything and all the important facts that they thought that was important enough to do it. That was done by Israel and copied by the United States. But when it was first copied, it was copied in a Latin form. And then you had the Protestants decided that no, we want this in our own language so we can read it because they felt like they was being deceived by the church. And therefore you had the King James Version being translated out. And so people have some of the right ideas, but they pass on some wrong information because they really don't know the history of the world, know the story. And so everything now the European people, well, the Bible do implicate them, but not in the way that most people said to try to destroy the literary writing of the Bible. So we're going to do a full history of the Bible so you guys can understand how it was formed and why it was formed and how it came to be what we have now. So that you won't have prejudice or no misunderstanding about who God is and what God did. Okay, during Romans 33, only 29 verses in the chapter. Now these are the blessings wherewith Moses, the man of God, blessed the children of Israel before his death, and said unto him, the Lord commanded me in Sinai, meaning the mountain they was first, rose up from Seir, if I'm saying it right, unto them, and he signed, he shined forth from the mount of Purim, and he came with the 10,000 saints, and he from his right hand went a fair law unto what them. What he fears, I'm sorry, law unto them. When God began to write the law, he's talking from Mount Sinai, how they ascend and all that. And he loved the what people, and all the saints are in the hands saints are in their what hands, and they sat down with sat down at thy feet, and everyone shall receive of thy words. And so God has given everybody the same word, the same law, the same command. And Moses commanded us a what law. And so Moses began to teach the people what God said, even the inheritance of the congregation of what Israel. Now, was Moses the first person that God began to talk to? No. God talked to Abraham, Isaac, all these people were before Moses. Moses was the person that God then decided that he needed to lead the people out of Israel. And these people who Moses is about to leave out of Israel, they knew not God. So now Moses have to again introduce these people because these people have been in captivity the same way we have even in this country. We're in captivity, and we are in special captivity up under the 10 kings, and the 10 kings is the European, end up being the European nation transferred out. And they're going to be in charge until they mess up things so bad that the paper power is going to be revealed. He's going to come in and try to fix it. In the middle of whatever he's doing, the Vatican is going to get bombed, and it's going to get bombed primarily by the Muslims. Now, if you think I'm lying, if you look at the world today, you see the Muslim is being active. Who is they fighting with? Fighting with Israel again. We're in a full-fledged war with Israel. Not only we're in a full-fledged war with Israel, forget Russia is in full-fledged war with the European nation, whether you like it or not. Who God and Magog, which is Russia and China, now is trying to begin their global power with that. So now you see the unsettled in the rest of the Middle East. You're seeing peace being broken on the other side and increasing the war. You're going to see the United States at some point here is coming to its end, and it's coming to the rise of paper power. Okay? And the king of Jerusalem, when he when the heads of the what peoples and the tribes of Israel were gathered together, let Reuben live and not die. Let not his men be few. And these are the blessing of Judah. And he said, Hear, O Lord, the voice of what Judah, and bring him unto his what peoples, and let uh, uh, his hand be significant for him, and be thou and help unto him from his what enemy. And to the Levites he said, Let thou Tremerins and thou Urim be thou holy one. So God commended the Levites to be the holy ones, and whom did provide at Massa, and with whom thou didst strive at the waters of Mirror, and who said unto his fathers and unto his what mother, I have not seen him, neither did I acknowledge his what brethren, and nor knew his own children. For thou have observed thy words and kept my what covenant. Ooh, look at how he talk about you. Uh, okay. Thou shalt teach Jacob thou what judgment, and Israel thou what law, and thou shalt put increases before thee, and thou hold burnt sacrifice unto thou what altar. The Levites. Now look what he talking. Blessed Lord is sustenance, and accept the works of his what hand. Smite thou the lungs of them that rose up against what him, and for him that hateth him, that thou rise not again. And for Benjamin, he said, thy beloved of the what Lord shall dwell in safety by him, and the Lord shall cover him all day long, and he shall dwell between his what shoulders. And Joseph, he said, blessed of the what Lord be thou land, for the precious thing of what heaven, and for the dew, and for the deepest that crouches beneath, and for the precious fruit brought forth by the sun, and for the um, precious thing brought forth by the what moon. I'm sorry, brought forth by the sun, and for the precious thing brought forth the moon, and by the sheep, and by the sheep, the chief thing. Y'all got me so far to say sheaf or sheaf thing of the ancient mountain, and for the precious thing of the lasting hill, and for the precious things of the earth, and the fullness thereof, and for the good will of them that dwell in the bush. Let the blessing come upon the heads of Joseph, and upon the top of his head of him that was separated from his what brethren. His glory is like the first line of the bullock, and his horn is like the horn of a unicorn. With them he shall push the peoples together to the end of the earth, that they shall be 10,000 Ephraim, and they are thousands of what Manasseh. And to Zebulun he said, Rejoice, Zebulun, in that in their going out, and to Asher in thy what tents. They shall call the peoples unto the what mountains, they that shall offer sacrifice of what righteousness. For they shall uh, sack, they shall suck of the abundance of the what sea, and the treasure hidden in the what sand. And of Gab he said, Blessed is he that enlarges Gab. He dwelleth as a what land. He tears the arms of the crown of his head. He provides the first part of himself, because there, in a portion of a lawgiver, he was he seated, and he came with the heads of the peoples. He executed the justice of the Lord, and his judgment with Israel. Dan and of Dan, he said, Dan is a lion's whelp, and he shall leap from Bashan into Nephtali. He said, O Nephtali, satisfy with what favor, and fill with the blessings of the Lord. Possesseth, possesseth through the west and the west south. And for Asher, he said, let Asher be blessed with the children, and let them be accepted with his what brethren, and let him dip his feet in the oil. The shoes shall be iron and of brass, and as thou day, so shall thou strength be. There is none like unto Gab, and uh, I'm sorry, there is none like God, uh, uh, whoever's name is, who rideth upon the heavens and help, and his excellent on the his excellent in on the what sky, and the eternal God is thy refuge, and and underneath are the everlasting arm, and he shall thrash out the enemies before thee, and shall say, destroy them. Israel then shall dwell in safety alone. The fountains of what Jacob shall be upon the land of corn and wine, and his heaven shall drop down dew. Happy art thou, O Israel, who is like unto thee, O peoples, saved by who? The Lord. That's Jesus there. And the shield of thy what help, and who is the sword of thy excellency, and thy enemy shall be found a liar upon thee, and thou shalt tread upon thy high places. 34, 12 verses in here, and we're getting ready to wrap this up. And Moses went up to the plains of Moab, and unto the mountains of Nebo, and unto the top of uh, uh, Pisgah, that is over against Jericho. And the Lord showed him all the land of Galilee, and Dan, and all the Naphtali, the lands of Ephraim, and Manasseh, and the land of Judah, and the uttermost sea, and the south, and the plains of the uh, valley of Jericho, and the city of palm trees, unto Zerah. And the Lord said unto him, This is the land which I swore unto Abraham, to Isaac, and unto Jacob, saying, I will give it unto thy seed. I have called thee to see it with thy own eyes, but thou shalt not go over thither. So Moses, the servant of the Lord, died there in the land of Moab, or according to the words of the what Lord. And they buried Moses in the valley of the land of Moab, over against Beerbar. But no man knows the sepulchre until this what day. So Moses died. And so in the Bible, when Jesus was talking about his two witnesses, people say Moses and Elijah. But according to the book, Moses died. So we understand that two witnesses had nothing to do with Moses, nor Elijah. It's the Old and New Testament, which we get into the note. And Moses was 120 years old. So we're going to use that at some point when we go back to the Bible again, and we're going to literally start putting a timeline or somewhat of a timeline about what year we think this happened and that happened. It should be very interesting because at this point, knowing the Bible, we should become Bible scholars and try to put some dates to this here. So we're going to use this year, the date, when Moses died, because we know Moses was like what, so many years when he went into the mountain, and so we know how many years that Moses reigned over Israel, and try to put that onto a literal map or something to try to figure out the time. And his eyes was not dim. I mean, Moses was not blind, and neither was his natural face abate. Meaning Moses looked just as young as though he started. He had that anointing on him, and that's how God wants us to look. We should not be Our food should not be making us look as old as we are. These people was not aging like we are. We are aging like we are because this food that we eating is designed to kill us, and God did not do this. It's the enemy did it, and because the people that he's using, we're gonna have to come to that understanding if we're gonna have this good health that God is doing. And the children of Israel wait for Moses in the plains of Moab 30 days. So the days of weeping and moaning of Moses were in. Joshua the son of Nun was filled with the spirit of what wisdom, for Moses had laid his hand upon him, and the children of Israel hearkened unto what him, and did as the Lord commanded what Moses. Okay. And there rose not a prophet since in Israel like unto Moses, whom the Lord spoke face to face. And all the signs and wonders which the Lord sent him to do in the land of Egypt, to what Pharaoh and all his servants, and to all his land, and in all the mighty hand, and in all the great territory which Moses uh, uh, showed in the sight of what Israel. That never was another prophet who ever did it. Moses had a perfect, a good priesthood. He had a good run, and God used Moses in a way that he never had to use other people. Why? Because Moses literally had to set up everything. The law had to come in so people can know why they sin and what they do. They had to be taught. Moses was almost a type of Jesus. If you will look at, he really took that role on, and Jesus really, 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 really used Moses in a mighty way. Well, Joshua got a different thing because Joshua now has to go in and possess the land. That's going to be fighting. That's going to be killing. That's going to be things. The church is already set up, so that's going to never no need to do that. Everybody just have to do their job, do their function as God, go through and possess the land. Well, that's Deuteronomy 33 and 34. You know, um, so I love Deuteronomy. I love all the backstory they got. I love how they kind of brought the laws in and retaught the peoples that was about to be established to go into the land to possess it. So it's a perfect story that lead off back into the history where Israel now begins to have the physical fight to possess the land. Now they had to fight to get to the land, and now they have to fight to possess the land. So we're going to see Joshua's story and how God led Joshua and how he did all these wonderful things. But that is, the way this book was written, it was a nice setup to lead us into the story. So you can begin to see how the Bible was formed and how these gentlemen begin to try to tell the story to try to keep you in a loop as they begin to add these other stories around it about to try to fill in so you can know, okay, well, this is what God did. People died in Deuteronomy, and Joshua, God is getting ready to lead them in to the promised land. He's getting to fight for this great land, this great message. And, I just love the Bible and how it's written. Well, I'm going to quit rambling tonight. We got a short stack tonight here, so we're just going to get into live discussion, and just answer some questions and talk about, the book and how we learned and how we did it. So, Moses died at some point here. He was buried and he showed, people the land. If you like what you hear, you can go to LebanonChurchWaukegan.org. Again, this is LebanonChurchWaukegan.org. Please go to our live broadcast tab. Drop down menu will appear. Please select the Bible study selection at that drop down menu from the live broadcast tab. Join the Bible study community. You will get access to teachings, readings, like this here. Also, you would get a special link to go live where you can actually discuss what we learned from what we read here. And also, you have that video library there that you can go back and read it and perhaps ask questions. Write down what you want to ask, and next time you can see us live, you can ask the pastor. May God bless you and forever keep you in his care.